COPWATCH, policing the police every single day.
Put your hands behind your back for a quick.
Tonight, the body cam video as police tase an autistic teen in his own yard.
Thunderstorms today across North Texas, more in the forecast, and triple-digit heat.
He's 4 months old and already a survivor. And Bill the Bear mess, a lot of frustrated parents at the mall. Live from Victory Park, you're watching WFAA News at 10.
Put your hands behind your back for a quick. Put your hands behind your back. I'm sorry.
A young man with special needs violently taken to the ground. Police then use a stun gun on him, all for throwing rocks into a neighbor's yard. Good evening. I'm John McKay.
I'm Cynthia Aguirre. Thank you for joining us. We first told you about this case in Young County last week. Now we're seeing the disturbing police body cam footage. Here's Todd Unger.
Care if I search you? No.
You're looking at 19-year-old Michael
What's going
Moore.
on? I'm okay.
He's autistic and about to have an encounter with Graham police take a very bad turn.
Yeah. Where do you live at, Mr. Moore? Right here.
Moore is being questioned in his own backyard 2 weeks ago after a neighbor called 911 to report a man tossing rocks into their yard.
The police pulled up and he waved at me. I ran out to them and asked me, "Do you live here?" And I said yes.
We first sat down with Michael and his mom last week. Police don't know he's autistic when they arrive, thinking instead he's high or drunk. The body camera footage shows him becoming visibly confused.
Follow it with your eyes and your eyes only. Keep your arms at your side.
After a couple minutes, things escalate when officers decide to put handcuffs on Michael.
Put your hands behind your back. I'm sorry.
Michael is taken to the ground and stunned twice by a taser.
Get him again. Get him again. I'm gonna hit you again.
Throughout the takedown,
You're about to get tased.
the young man repeatedly yells for his mother, who's just out of earshot in the front of the house.
This is my child, and you have put your hands on him and you have hurt him.
When word of this first got out, the police department's Facebook page was inundated with hundreds, if not thousands, of comments. Today, they are still standing behind these officers, while also acknowledging a need to do more training. The chief saying in part via a statement, quote, "The department will use this opportunity to expand our awareness and ability to serve diverse residents within our community."
Have him detained. Yes.
Michael suffered facial and eye injuries. These photos were snapped at the hospital.
You're not going to kill, baby.
His family maintains if officers had simply knocked at their front door, it all could have been avoided. Now, we understand that original 911 caller did in fact tell dispatch that they thought Michael had some mental disabilities. Again, police insisting tonight that information was never passed along to their officers. We're live. Todd Unger, Channel 8 News.
All right, Todd, thank you.
Help me, mama. Body cam shows cops mistake autism for drug use, attack and taser autistic teen. Disturbing body camera footage has been released showing two police officers choke and taser an autistic teen after mistaking his mental disability for drug use. By Matt Agarist, July 13, 2018. Graham, Texas. Disturbing body camera footage of two officers confronting an autistic teenager has just been released showing the dangerous nature of untrained police officers dealing with individuals with mental disabilities. According to police, the incident happened on June 26 when officers were responding to a call about a teenager throwing rocks at a fence. Michael Moore, 19, was the teenager and he admitted to throwing rocks which did not damage any property. When officers arrived, they did not recognize his behavior as a person with autism. Instead, they investigated whether he might be under the influence of a controlled substance, Graham Police Chief Tony Widner said. As Michael first told WFAA last week, he approached the officer. "I ran out to them, and he asked me, 'Do you live here?' And I said, 'Yes.'" Widner said that the teen resisted being placed in handcuffs as most children with autism would do, so they brought out the taser and began shocking the teen. Only after they had attacked, tasered, and handcuffed the teen did the police realize Moore might have a mental impairment, said Widner. Tracy Moore, the teen's mom, called the incident outrageous and was heartbroken to find her son being treated in such a horrific manner, especially considering the town has only 9,000 residents and everyone knows her son. I have been a resident my whole life. And Michael has too. This is where he born and raised, said Tracy. I was in tears, she said. And now I'm angry. I watched the body cam footage. He told them, my mama is inside. Let me get my mama. After multiple requests by media, the department finally released the footage, and it is as disturbing as his family said it would be last week. Although police claimed that Moore was running when they arrived, Tracy said her son actually approached officers in an area that is essentially the family's backyard. It really doesn't take long conversing with him to figure out he has a disability, said Tracy. Now, he has a busted blood vessel in his eye. He had scratches and abrasions on both sides of his face. Police, however, were apparently untrained in how to identify someone with autism, and the only thing that came to their minds was this guy is high. According to police account, Michael was sweating, breathing heavily, having difficulties focusing and acting paranoid. Police even went so far as to force the teen to perform a field sobriety test for his autism. When another officer arrived, Michael was so frightened and stressed out that he could not perform the sobriety test based on his erratic movements, behavior, and statements, Widner said. One of the officers then tried to put handcuffs on for everyone's safety until they could determine what was occurring. According to the police news release, after they put one of his hands in the cuffs, the teen then pulled away, backing into the second officer, and all three went to the ground. Police then feared for their lives that Michael may try to use the other end of the handcuffs as a weapon, which he did not, and then they began tasering him. However, according to the body camera footage, the incident unfolded quite differently. They ask him to put his hands behind his back. Once again he turns and points to the house and says, I live here, can I get my mama? Tracy said. They grab his arm, put a chokehold on him and throw him to the ground. At that point, the body cameras fall off and all you can see is sky, but you can still hear the audio. The first time I saw the video, it was at that point the officer told me, this is where they stunned him twice. Up until that point, we had no knowledge of the use of a stun gun. As the cops bring Moore to the ground, he cries out for help from his mom. Help! Mama, he cries as the officers dole out taser strikes. As WFAA reports, Tracy says as this was all happening, she was in the front of the house unaware that anything had happened. Finally, after Michael was handcuffed and in a police unit, an officer went to the front door and knocked. It could have all been avoided, she said. We're just all in complete and sheer utter disbelief this could happen to him. Widner released a statement on Thursday and defended his officer's actions. It is our opinion that our officer made a judgment call based on the limited information available, as the job forces them to do every day. Based on the situation and presentation of Mr. Moore, the responding officer believed him to be under the influence of controlled substances. A reasonable officer could have made this determination. He then appropriately initiated procedures to determine intoxication. After the struggle began, the techniques used were consistent with law and department policy for use of force. Of course, we would have preferred that the encounter with this young man had occurred under different circumstances. Moving forward, the department will use this opportunity to expand our awareness and ability to serve diverse residents within our community. While we currently meet all state-mandated requirements for mental health training, we are actively pursuing opportunities to expand our training, and for direct engagement with all of our residents. According to the police, the person who called to report Moore actually told dispatch that he had a mental disability, but this information was never passed on to the responding officers. Moore was never charged with a crime, and after he was beaten and tasered, he was released to his mom, who then took him to the hospital to be treated for his injuries. If you'd like to peacefully express your concern over the officer's treatment of an autistic teenager, you can do so on their Facebook page, here. Sadly, police officers mistaking autism for drug use is not an isolated incident. Just last month, TFTP reported on the national outcry surrounding the violent takedown of an autistic boy by Officer David Grossman, and just like the Graham Police Department is doing, the Buckeye Police Department began conducting damage control. As the world lashed out at the department for mistreating Connor Leibel, an innocent autistic boy, in such a violent and callous manner, the parents simply asked for an apology, one that would never come. And now, because the police refused to apologize, the taxpayers are going to be held liable. Spread the love. Police use who may want to retaliate against him physically.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.